You ever wish that Beats mode in Ableton was in a VST form? Well, thanks to Yum Audio, they've actually created something that is very similar to that. Actually, it's almost the exact same. So for one, shout out to Yum Audio. This video is not sponsored, but they did send me their entire plugin suite in order to review. And initially I was going to do Slap and the clip, but this is actually something that I found to be relatively useful, especially for the type of workflow that I have in regards to making sound design jams or mud pies or something. So what this is essentially is it's something that will detect transients or something that you can use quite maybe even as a transgate, and it does a really good job at that. It's very simple to use. You pretty much just squeeze the lemon until it starts to pull stuff out of it, or you can set it into a beats mode type of thing to where this will pretty much be like a trigger that will, how do you say, do as such. Now I will say that it would be nice if there was some kind of swing or some kind of offset or something instead of it just being beats mode that's straight on. But what I do like is that they either have a single band or a multi-band that will detect things on several levels, and then you can basically say, all right, well, this is going to make the detail less and make it more percussive with a sharper attack, or we can kind of try to preserve this a little bit more by preserving that detail, as we say. So a good example of this would be if we have a chord progression, and I didn't write this was literally something that I just pulled from the stock Ableton thing, but if I wanted to make this into a transgate or something, I could grab this and set this to maybe 1/16, and now check this out. Which is kind of nice. There are two different modes for the transient. I don't know what those are. I'd have to look at the manual on that, but even still, there are two different particular kinds of transient shaping that you can do, and this will become more useful when I show you the second example about how to do this. Now, obviously, you know, a transgate is quote unquote not necessarily anything special, but for me, for something that can detect transients, becomes extremely useful when you're doing sound design jams and mud pies kind of like this. So if I were to turn off all of these effects, we would pretty much just be left with nothing but a bass or different bass sounds. And so if I were to loop this and then turn all this stuff on, I'm just going to give you a quick example about, you know, some knobs and stuff that I like to turn. We can just kind of manipulate the delay here. You can even use tones or something. Now, obviously that was a bunch of hot garbage doo-doo, but what is cool is if we're using something like the rolling sampler, we can kind of pull that out. And then if we were to even just use something very simple like extractor on this, with all of the sustained sounds that we have, we might be able to pull something kind of rhythmic out of this that might start to influence a groove, or, you know, just something that seems kind of interesting. So with that, if I were to do something like this, so that was kind of cool. That little as you can hear, like, it's starting to get into some kind of cool stuff. And then maybe what we could even do is something kind of like this, and then add some kind of transient control to it to make it a little bit more percussive. And then maybe some compression. It's starting to sound a little bit better. And again, this is just for emphasis. You don't have to do this, but just as a means of being like, oh, let's make this usable. Okay, now from this we can maybe So maybe what I can do is just kind of play around with this, because if it's always at 5K, then it might not be all that interesting. But I mean, why not just do something very simple, like add some kind of randomization to this. And we'll shift this up to like 0-ish, set this to hertz, turn the hertz value up. So now it's going to jump around. Now, as you can see, we're getting lots of different kinds of percussion here that we can later use to find some kind of hook. So if I were to just kind of maybe find a cluster of sounds, maybe something along the lines of this. You know, this might be kind of cool if we were to maybe pull it out, kind of like so, and go into repitch mode. Maybe do something kind of like this and see what that sounds like. Or maybe even something like this. So we can even do something like here and go into a loop. And then maybe it even cuts this off, so something like this. Maybe we can even kind of try to match that out a little bit. So like a, there we go. We can duplicate this. And now we've got a little percussive line. Maybe we can switch this one around. Now we can continue to color this and whatnot as a bunch of different kinds of percussion. So now we just need some kind of kick. Then we can grab some kind of snare. That's a very soft kick, but that's okay because I'm really just trying to make an example. Maybe just something like this. And for mixing sake, maybe something kind of like this. So like a, let's go ahead and beef up this. That's why that sounds like that. Maybe beef this up. we can make this a little bit more interesting by time shifting this a little bit later. And then we've pretty much got ourselves a cool little beat, and we can take other things from this. Maybe in repitch. There we go. Now we've got ourselves a nice little hat that we can kind of match with this. And suddenly there we go. We've pretty much started to make a beat out of something that was kind of like this. And then we can get into this process again and do a bunch of other different things. But making drums or making percussion out of this stuff is something that I've definitely done before. And to be frank, you can actually do this in some cases with using your warp mode here. And if you're in a different DAW, then you might not have beats mode or something, but you can go into something like Stretch HD and then go into your onsets. You can actually slice this at onsets as well. But I do find that this is a very convenient plugin to get this going a little bit sooner, and then also being able to place it inside of an effects chain as opposed to just the very beginning of the sample and then processing it after. So it gives you a lot more flexibility and control about what you do before you even get to the resampling process. And that's why I think that this plugin is low-key like a sleeper. So hopefully that was interesting to you all. This is why, I know that I was doing some beat crafting here and not necessarily doing a lot of talking, but at the same time, you can kind of see how you can get something going, especially if you're into the MudPie realm or into, just turning anything into anything, because that's kind of my philosophy anyways, is, anything can become any kind of sound. It can't become any sound, but it can become any kind of sound. So anyways, thanks Yum Audio. Hopefully that was a cool demo for you all. If you have any questions, then let me know. You can get this off yumaudio.com. And I don't know, let me know. Is this something that you would like to maybe get a chance to win? Yum Audio said that they might be willing to do a giveaway or something. I haven't asked them, but assuming they're up for it, let me know in the comments. Let them know that if you're interested in it. And I'll be covering more Yum Audio stuff in the future. Thanks everybody. I'll see you later.